No.
Why not?
Because I think it's unprofessional, and I don't want to know what they think about other teachers unless it's positive. If it's negative, then I don't want to hear that. If they have a problem with the teacher, then I think that's something they should take up with the administration or maybe a guidance counselor. It's not really my place, I don't think, to hear negative stuff about other teachers.
Do you allow students to talk about other teachers in class?
Okay, I try to limit the amount of talk that goes on about other teachers. In some cases, I usually encourage students to talk to teachers about it if they're talking about others. I usually try to say they're my colleague or they're my friend. I don't appreciate that sometimes. Or I say, maybe this teacher didn't understand what she was doing and you should go and have a conversation about that. But I think it's sometimes, if you can handle it, it's a healthy release for both of the parties that are talking about it, and they need to feel that they're being heard, because sometimes students don't feel like they're being heard.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Class.
Yes and no. If it's malicious or mean, no. I try to shut that down. But if it's talking about a teacher's teaching style or a project going on in the class that they may not like or may dislike, where it's not malicious or mean or hurtful, it's just talking about a situation or a project or a class, something that's going on in the class, I usually let it go. But if it's mean or malicious or purposefully saying things that are hurtful to that person, then I shut it down.
I have had students in the past talk about other teachers in class, and I usually try to stop it or say, like, listen, that's just their teaching style. Every teacher is different, and try and pull out the positive in whatever they're complaining about.
Okay, do you allow students to talk about other teachers in your class?
No, I do not.
And why not?
Well, first off, it's not professional. And second, I've been on the receiving end. It's not pleasant. Years ago when I first started, I had a teacher who not only had a conversation with students, but helped them draft a letter that was extremely racist about every little thing I did in class, and painted me as a stereotypical black woman, right? He helped pass it around to other people, and then when it was brought to me, it was like, well, this is what people are saying, and I had to be like, I'm not even gonna refute it because it's ignorant. So.
Okay. So, do you allow students to talk about other teachers in your class?
No, I do not. If the students start talking about somebody in class, I say stop. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. And definitely don't name names.
Students in class.
I try and stop it as soon as I can. I think of that as a form of bullying, and I think spreading gossip and rumors is just so frustrating, because most of the time it's not true and you don't get to hear the other side of the person's story, and that's how rumors spread. So I try and stop it as soon as I hear someone talking about
Do you
another person.
other students in class?
No.
And why not?
Because it's not professional, and if we have time left in class, it should be something else, but normally, we're trying to take it down to the wire. I tend to have like 5 or so minutes left in class, and I'm doing stuff in the back, and if students ask me a question, we might talk about a subject or extension of what we talked about in class, but not other kids. Now, I have kids in class who will be silly and go back and forth with each other, but that's all fun and good. But nothing that is, negative or demeaning, especially if somebody who's not in the room. No.
Talk about other students in class.
Sometimes I can't control that. Sometimes I don't really know what's happening. If I hear anything negative, you try to shut it down right away. But there's a lot that goes on, and kids gossip a lot. So, I usually say, okay, it's time to stop gossiping.
If I hear it, I try to shut it down. The same thing. Don't name names. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. Don't give any energy to something that's not positive.
I do not. If they're talking badly about that, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear them bad mouthing another student or another teacher.
I try not to. It's hard though with so many kids in a class and spread out, and kids talk. I can't stop every kid from saying something, but again, if I hear something that's deliberately mean, malicious, that is really hurtful, I try to stop that. If it's something about, oh, did you see so and so, do this? That's hard to stop. But if it's mean, malicious, hurtful, I try to stop that as soon as I can.
The gossip in class.
I hope not. If I do, I don't know that I do.
Yeah.
My goal is to make sure every kid feels comfortable, and I can tell a story that I told one time many years ago when I was teaching. I was actually gossiping about another teacher in class, and I'm not, I'm very ashamed of my actions, but this is an actual true story. I had a student come up to me after class and say, so and so is a really good teacher, and she's a really good friend of mine, and I don't appreciate what you say about her to the whole class. So if you could you not talk about her when I'm here? And I've never been checked by a student like that in my life, and I was completely floored. And to this day, I'll never forget that student or that conversation that I had. And it made me respect teenagers a whole lot more, and myself and others. So I hope I don't entertain gossip like that. If I do, I probably don't even know it.
And then last.
Oh yeah, all the time. Not necessarily about other kids, but just whatever, fun stuff, but not nothing major. Because I don't even want to know that crazy serious stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just fun, yeah.
With students.
No, I try to stay out of it, and most of the time I miss things that students are talking about because, that's student talk.
No, I don't. I mean, the only thing I would ask is how a kid did in a sporting event or a performance or something like that, but not about their behavior or their attitudes or things like that.
No,
No. And why?
it's not my business. I'm an adult. I have my own friends. I have my own things going on in my life, and you guys have yours.
I entertain the gossip. It depends. If it's about a celebrity, I mean, come on. No, I don't think that I do. I don't think that I'm like, oh my gosh, did you guys hear that so and so did so? Like, I don't think about that. You guys usually aren't on my radar.
Take them aside.
It depends on what they're doing. If it's, again, something that needs to be stopped right away, then it might have to be public. But if it's something that I can take them aside and say, hey, not the best choice, I try to do that. It just really depends on the situation.
It depends on who it is and how many times I've corrected them. Okay? If it's a private conversation but I can hear it, I may go over and tap them on the shoulder and say, knock it off. If they're being very public about it and they put their business out there, then I feel it's my business to make it their business. And I will call them out publicly, and then they get offended, but they weren't so offended when they were talking publicly about someone else. And I think students should know that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Especially if I'm back here, like I said, end of the class, and I hear it. No, I'm not allowed. I don't let people talk about other teachers in my class. Or I'll make a statement.
He was, if he said it publicly, then I would correct him publicly. If it was, but then I would. It just depends on the situation. I try not to embarrass kids in front of everybody, but so usually I pull them outside. But if it was something that needed to be said in front of everybody, so that everybody knew that I didn't like that and was against that, then I would make it a public.
All right.
It depends on the student. If I think that the student could take being reprimanded in front of everybody, and then that I think would send a message to everyone, then I would do it. But if I know that that student is insecure, and if me putting them on blast, if you think about it, then I would definitely pull them aside after class and be like, listen, that's not okay to talk about people like that, and all that stuff.
I usually walk over to the student and just say something to that student.